evening, and welcome to season 2 of ViVoices. I have with me my co-hosts, Clint Ferris and Boyd McFarland, and we're here for our second season of ViVoices. We have much to discuss. We know we've been gone for a little while, but sometimes we do take a break.
Amen.
And in so doing, we'll let you know that we are here to bring the information to you so that you can make an informed decision on the issues that plague our community. And so we will begin tonight as we talk about, first of all, something of levity. How have you all been since we've been on break? That's the first thing we should talk about. Like, what have you all been doing since we've been on break?
Hey, I've been moving, I've been enjoying life. But it seems like while we were on break, the Virgin Islands went to the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like everybody knew we weren't at the air, so they took the time to run amok.
Right. I can tell you a lot of people have been inboxing me and asking me, when is ViVoices coming back? Because it seems like they really looked at what we would say on certain issues to assist them in becoming informed. And I know a lot of stuff happened since we were on a hiatus, since the season ended last season. And so it's good to be back, and it's good to be able to do that. But what have you been doing since we've been on break?
I really know much of anything. To tell you the truth, I really miss ViVoices now. But what I have been doing is just taking care of friends and family and working. That's basically now that I'm back, I'm ready. I hope I'm ready for it.
And we saw that you still came back with the bedroom speech. But we got to talk a little louder on the show, right? Okay. And I just had a blast all summer. I really did. Just working mostly though, and listening and seeing what was going on in our community, what was happening, and it's just been really distressing. And so we are here back to ensure that we educate you on the issues and that you can make your informed decision on those issues. And as you know, as we get into the election cycle for next 2014, one of our things from last season was ensuring that you knew the issues of the time, that you knew who were running for offices, why they were running, and of course this season we're going to do the same thing.
Correct.
To ensure that when election time comes around, we're going to have a fairly informed group of individuals. And as you know, the election time will be moving up this year so that they can match and follow with the HAVA Act, so that the people abroad who are in the military are able to get all of their documents well in enough time to be able to do what they need to do for that point. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what I want to talk about is a big issue that just popped up is festival versus carnival. As you know, the festival committee has asked the legislature to change our usual name from the Crucian Christmas Festival to the Crucian Christmas Carnival. And part of that apparently has been an issue in regards to marketing, and for that, because carnival seems to be larger than the term festival. And so for some reason, it appears that our Crucian Christmas Festival for this year will be called the Crucian Christmas Carnival. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's all in the name. Listen to the word. Listen to this. Crucian Christmas Carnival. It sounds like something playpen. It sounds like something some small childish game. I like Crucian Christmas Festival, not because it's something traditional. It's a brand. We already have a brand. You don't ask Bahamas to change their thing from Jukunu and call it Carnival. No, this is still a Carnival festival, or Carnival celebration. Our festival is still a Carnival celebration. We don't need to change the name. And Mr. Charlemagne and his entire committee, this one particular decision, I have to say they need to go and revisit it. What are they trying to say? Nonsense?
But I have a question though. When did the name change? Was it by legislative action that it changed? Or when did that happen? Because I seem to have missed that whole section.
But where are the committee hearings? Where are the focus groups? Do you just get up and say, oh, we need to, maybe because of marketing, we need to change the name? Don't you bring it to the people and say, okay, this is why, and listen to what the focus groups say? And companies like Nike, Ford, they have focus groups. Colleges and universities, when they're going to do some policy change or change their residential or whatever, they have focus groups, whether with parents or students, to see what the vibe of the people are. And they didn't do that. And I do not buy into this change, or it's going to make it more marketable. Look at the schedule they put out. This schedule look worse than St. John's schedule. Come on.
Well, to their credit, you know, there are some things on there that I think over the years seem to have worked, or at least has given the people the idea that it works. Like primarily that mini village that they have in Christiansted. I was kind of like, I don't know about that when they first decided to do it, but it actually turned out to be a really nice event. Problem was last year for some reason they decided to move it into Parade Ground first. Remember in by the Valley Park, as opposed to being in town where they started it, which I felt having it by the market in town gave a much better, at least to me, festival feel to it. As opposed,
I mean, initially, well, when I say initially, I'm talking about when I was a child. I remember it being several different places. You used to go about Federal Grounds there right now.
correct.
At one point it was in a parking lot.
That place started.
Another point it was in a parking lot. Government parking.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but you all let the people, in Christiansted stop you all from getting your functions in Christiansted.
Of late, it was in Canagata, like in late 90s, I remember it being in
Yes,
Canagata.
that's
So
correct.
everything not new.
But my
But then
thing,
they're complaining now the business building there that they have there now.
There's no space.
Right, so there's no space to accommodate.
But
But
the-
that's why they're doing a TV thing.
but let's not go there. Let's
What
go
I
back.
don't like though is the one in Momiju.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have that this year, I don't think.
You know, there's not there. But let's
No.
go back on to because we opening another kind of words. The National Park Service. Festival started right there where the National Park Service inhabited. And I have a big feeling that, now I have this opinion, that the National Park Service, they are a hindrance at times toward development. Because I don't see why the Park Service couldn't allow us to go back on that particular ground to have our festival celebration.
Yeah, Tony could do it.
I mean, that's what you don't need to tell us why. We need our own people are running the National Park Service, and they continue to hinder us.
They
I mean,
have other.
Well, they have federal mandates, and the federal government, I'm sure, you know, remember they have supremacy powers to take over properties.
but the National Mall, don't they use the National Mall for alternative? Is not a part of the National
But
Park
lately they
Service?
have been using the park for the jazz that they've been doing now in Christiansted, and movie nights that they have in Christiansted. So they've been doing stuff.
So,
in Christiansted.
but what about festivals? So are you trying to tell me they have those small things that tailor to a select audience, a certain type of clientele?
But
and
no,
we
but
can't-
let's be fair though. Remember, the reason why festival isn't in town itself anymore is because the business owners in Christiansted town did not want them there.
But we
That's the reason why this whole thing about festival in Christiansted ended. It had nothing to do with the festival committee deciding that we don't want to have anything in Christiansted. It's the business owners in Christiansted did not want to have to shut down their businesses and do anything, and that's why it moved out of
Correct.
Christiansted. And then
shut down the businesses at one time.
remember Parade would have to shut down for Trans Parade.
You have seen Patrick
The-
available.
Yeah, but remember that's a little different thing that happens on Saturdays.
No, Parade.
Friday and Saturday.
And then you have to shut down Party for Juve, and then you have to shut down other events, and so they didn't want that happening.
But
And then the parking, remember it used to be in the parking lot.
There only one parade. I thought it was like Juran parade. One year they up there and then those parades.
It used to be like that. It used to be like that, and then it went when it went back and forth.
Alternate villages
then
and all
the
that.
alternate villages, and then it went when both of the parades would happen in one part of the town, and then eventually it just said it stopped. It just said. But when they all built the park, not the park, the rec center, where between the ballparks, that was pretty much it for you all.
But
You
it's
don't place over the
I'm
village.
trying to understand what you're saying.
Thank you, us.
Well, I say you all because apparently there is this confusion that the people in Federstead all want to have villages and all events only Federstead to the detriment of the Christiansted. So that's all I'm saying for purposes of the event. I do remember that the festival committee used to be two separate committees. They weren't one like they are now. You had a Christiansted committee and they had a festival committee. I kind of liked it when you had two villages because you could pick and choose which village for the next you wanted to go to.
Correct.
I like that.
I can understand and agree with the concept of two villages. What I don't agree with is having both parades at one town this year and both. I think the alternative was best. And I think we should revisit that. But who are the people on the
But then what
who
the
will
problem
make these decisions?
here's why it won't happen. It won't happen because when the parade finish, where's it gonna go? Home.
No,
If the
but
village where?
they have two villages. I said one in Christian, said I want to.
But you want
hey, centralization sometimes works.
no, it doesn't because they tried that and nobody went.
Okay, no, I mean I don't mean it a village central. I mean a village. No, Kings Hill had to go by racetrack.
The Kings Hill one was the version of Puerto Rican friendship.
No.
I don't remember.
No, they had
Kings Hill.
three. They had that festival village in the center island at 3 different locations.
Where?
One was in
I remember.
chicken shop, you know.
Okay, no,
I don't remember
by
that.
Slab,
Big open
over by Slab, right there close to the cemetery. One over by the racetrack,
But that's the problem.
one where the racetrack was.
Villages shouldn't be by the cemetery.
No, they shouldn't be there. No, honestly, I don't mean that centralized
That's a problem.
village, but I do believe that when you have it one village in either Christian set or fetish, it works best to me.
Yeah, but if
I agree
100%
with that.
don't come to the functions.
That's not true.
We need to do
I just
better.
said fish that. Our friends said don't come to fishes.
No, we
That's
don't.
not true.
But we don't want to.
We all know that's not true.
I am not trying to promote
We
that,
go
and I don't think
everywhere.
We should even discuss.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
You know
that's not true.
Because
And-
having a village, Frederick said, and one in Christian said, and they both parades that have different issues. I think that's the best.
I think we need to manage resources better than that.
And I don't think we can do 2 villages
Oh
anymore.
yeah, one village. But I think we need to focus
We
on.
can't. Because that committee needs to do work. And they don't do work. And let me take that back. They don't do work sufficient enough to have 2 villages.
But let's go back.
Yes, I said it. They do not do enough work to have 2 villages.
No,
You
but
say.
Emil
the truth.
is playing politics at a particular point.
No, I'm not.
I don't think they do enough work at all. No, because no. If you look at honestly,
At
look
least I gave them
no.
the
But look at the schedule that
benefit
came
of
out. Look at the schedule. Okay, yes, Emil gave them praises for the Christian Step Village. But look at the schedule. Compare our entertainment in our village to Little St. John's entertainment in their village, to St. Thomas entertainment in their village, and what do you see? And the festival committee is going to come and tell you, oh, they get more resources. Excuse me, you're given some resources, utilize the resources to the best of your ability.
Well,
Don't look at what people
We will
have.
have to have Mr. Charlemagne on the show again.
To bring him back.
Well, we had him last year, remember?
But-
when we talked about the events coming up, I'm going to have to have him on the show again.
But I don't want him on the show to talk about events coming up.
Well, we
come
can
on
do
the
that
show
too.
and tell us why you create the schedule you have. Why are you changing it into Carnival? I want that. Don't tell me to feel good part.
Well, let me ask you, are there a lot of local artists on this year on the lineup?
Yeah, they have locals. I know the
You see
Cool
like-
Session.
you see
Yeah,
this-
Cool Session is another thing. Spectrum is another thing.
Well, maybe they couldn't get them here.
Coolie Band is another thing. But you have, I can't recall seeing digital. Maybe I saw digital.
I know there's quite a few of outside entertainment that they
No.
seem to have a lot of to bring in.
Actually, no, excuse. I really want to know. Every year, we bring Red Hot Flames and Burning Flames.
They're here
Again,
on the schedule?
and the schedule. One night is Red Hot, one night.
Well, one night, whichever one was, they were really good.
You see
So
how the crowd-
I
you
don't
see-
mind them coming back though.
You see
I
the
don't
crowd?
mind.
You see the crowd?
But-
Well, I had a good time with them though.
Yeah, I saw it called Red Hot.
Oh, but wait,
One
this
is
year
not-
though, for the first in a very long time, the Juve is on January 1st.
Correct.
For the first in a very long time, which means that I'll be extremely tired. My office will be closed on January 2nd because I'm going from Rack the Dock straight to the Juve.
So you're promoting other things, events on our show?
Yeah.
Good.
I did.
Rock the Dock.
I did,
So
Rock the Dock.
does that mean we're getting complimentary tickets for
I don't know, you
promoting
have to
Rock the
call the
Dock?
owner of Rack the Dock and
I
find
made a
out.
vow.
I already got my tickets.
I made a vow not to go to Juve again. I did San Juve.
But when does it start? It's starting in May.
Do it at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. When the sun
When sun hot.
Juve
That's a
and
tramp.
Juve.
That's a tramp.
No, thank you.
And ever since that, I never went.
Effective policing can make everything happen. I don't have a problem. If bands can jam in place now, have them jamming in place, and then when sunlight come, you can tell them move on. But let the
And you can jump anywhere, right?
Amen, brother.
But speaking
Amen.
about jamming, I don't know how this is a segue, but let's talk about the road projects that we're seeing on the roads. What do you want to talk about that?
Actually, I'm gonna give a halo because I'm seeing a lot of road work. Even though it's been long coming, it's been 7, 8 years. I can't be under this administration. I can't. The only road they built was the road that they had eventually had to dig up. That road by Anderson, and they said they did something wrong with federal monies, and then they paved that other road up by Concordia Ridge. Those are 2 road
Well, let me
projects.
ask you: are we seeing Virgin Islanders been employed for that.
One or two.
That's
But I'm not giving anybody any halos.
no, but okay. Because
I'm not gonna hear
I am
this.
seeing word was being.
But let's hold that thought. Let's talk about that. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll finish that conversation, and then we will talk about what happened last night in the legislature. We're going to be a argument. Back in a moment. Good evening and welcome back to ViVoices. We are here and we were discussing before our break, we were discussing the road projects. I was asking you whether or not there were Virgin Islanders working on these projects.
Let me say this. What I see are Virgin Islanders who look like you and I, and they're holding the flags, telling you to stop, and I see those guys controlling the traffic. Then I see other people who seem to be the supervisors and the foreman and the crew that don't look like they're from here. But what I'm also saying, it seems like some work is being done. The boardwalk have been under disrepair ever since, I think, that's 2010, prior to 2010, and then it's now finally being fixed. I guess this administration actually wanted to do something.
Is it going to be finished for the boat parade?
I'm hoping, but actually, they should not even be trying to make the schedule for both. This should have been done earlier.
I agree.
Especially for the summer when a lot of us are utilizing the boardwalk.
What I would like is notification of where these road projects are ahead of time. So that you don't like driving to go somewhere and then you have to bump into a road project and then you're stuck.
Actually, for the first time, I was driving on the highway, I believe on Saturday, and there was a sign that was flashing saying, the road will be closed on Monday for road work.
Oh, good.
That was the first time I saw it. So slowly but surely they are doing things. I would like to see them actually make it a standard part of the process, included in the morning news with some announcement.
In the what news?
The morning news.
Which morning news?
Yeah, morning news and 107.
Oh, you on the radio?
On the radio.
I think it was on TV.
No, but they can actually put it on the news the evening as well as
evening news?
public service
You
announcements.
see the news?
I have Dish Network, sir.
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know what news you're talking about. 'Cause I've seen the news. Okay, speaking about news. Last night, the 30th legislature of the Virgin Islands ratified the Fourth Amendment Agreement that was resubmitted to them. As you know, this agreement was first submitted sometime in July, I think, and the hearing on it was done in August.
it's not bad. But let's go back. Remember, they first submitted a draft back up in, I think, March or April, and then they pulled that. And then they submitted something again in July.
No. He said to them that there was an agreement and never sent them the agreement. They didn't know what was in the agreement and wanted to have a hearing.
That's the mysterious interim agreement issue.
Correct.
Okay.
And then they moved that hearing from May or whatever it is to now to August.
Yes.
Okay. So on August 7th,
Correct.
the agreement was there, and the legislature of the Virgin Islands, by a vote of 11 to 3, remember Barshing was allegedly away, voted to reject the agreement. Okay. And at that time, Vanessa indicated that they were not going to renegotiate, and all this other stuff happened. The legislature did a resolution of things they wanted to see in a new agreement. The governor instructed the AG to, I don't know if let me get that back. The AG wrote a letter to the Customs Department telling them to start to take the 6% duty, customs duty. Vanessa then turned around and said, well then, we run out of gas by October, we're not returning any more gas, bringing in any more gas. Then they changed their minds and they said, okay, we'll let you go through the end of October or whatever's going to happen. And then the governor resubmitted the agreement with what was called a clarification letter. So it was the same agreement, right, with an attachment. And the legislature reviewed that. And last night, by a vote of 8 to 7, all 15 senators were there, 8 to 7, the legislature ratified the agreement. And so now the Fourth Amendment Agreement is ratified, and we will see what will happen to that. What are your thoughts on it?
First, I have one question to begin. As far as this attachment is concerned, how of an attorney and a legal man, can you give me an opinion versus the validation of this attachment?
Okay. Here's my problem with that attachment. There was absolutely no reason in my mind why the governor could not have had his councils redraft an entire new agreement with the attachments in the four corners of that agreement and resubmit it.
But is the
Right?
attachment legally binding?
I don't think so. The AG seems to think so. I don't think that it is, because when I look at the parallel evidence rule, and the parallel evidence rule basically says that when you have to look to outside documents to either clarify something within an agreement or ask for an agreement, it is unenforceable. That is contract law 101. Okay? So when you have this clarifying letter, and the letter is all basically saying is that, but written by George W., the lawyer for Hovensa, that we understand this agreement to mean this, 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 and this. We understand this section to mean this, 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 and this. And at the end it says, if it is ratified, then this will become part of the agreement. Now, if that's what you understand it to mean, put it in the agreement. And then it'll be clearly what it is. It will be within the four corners of the document. The problem with that also is you have, in general basic contracts law, what we know as mutual assent, which means both of you are into a contract, both of you have to mutually agree on the terms of it, which means you understand exactly what term A means, and you exactly understand what term A means, and your understandings are exactly the same. Okay, how can one letter say, we understand it to mean A, B, C, and D, be mutual assent? Do you understand my point? So in my view, that is not an enforceable action, because in order to clarify the agreement, you have to look at something extrinsic, means something outside of it. And that's what the power rule says you're not allowed to do. It doesn't become enforceable.
The thing that you're looking at outside, and this is the attachment. The Senate doesn't have anything to do with it. They didn't propose it.
No! No! It is simply a clarification letter from Attorney Dudley.
See this. There was a lot of activism yesterday on Facebook. And people were coming. I chose to stay out of the phone because I put my position on the record back in August. I put my position on the record, and what was being proposed, to me there was no major change to what was proposed back in August.
It was the same agreement.
So what is now?
It was the same agreement.
The only thing I see one major thing. I think there was, we were getting the $50 million in addition to something, and now it's either or.
No. The 50, here's the next confusion with this deferment of the property tax issue. The agreement says that the property taxes will be deferred for a number of years, right? If the property is sold, then you will get 20% of the sale or $50 million. Whichever is
least less.
Less. No, I think it's
whichever is less.
I think it's greater.
No, whichever is less.
Whichever is less sale, which means if the sale is $850 million, you're not going to get 20% of $850 million. You're going to get $50 million. That's the cap. 50, period, right? Here's the problem. The deferred property taxes is included in that $50 million. It's not deferred taxes and $50 million.
That's what I'm saying. It's not deferred and it's
so how is that a benefit? Then what they need to do is everybody that pays property taxes should get their property taxes deferred. In fact, nobody should pay property taxes. So that's what should happen.
And I hear where you're coming from. So, and that's why I stayed out, because I could not be part of it. Because I did not see any major change to the deal. And I had a discussion with one of the governors this past week. And we talked, I said, congratulations, your governor is going to get his deal passed. I even told him the vote is going to be 8 to 7. And lo and behold, the deal was 8 to 7, because I knew the shenanigans were already put in place. People were already posturing and doing all the things they need to do. Some is going to oppose, just to oppose, so they can get the people's favor come election day next year. And then there are others who already have a specific voting block. Well, they know that it doesn't matter, and they already have their payoff at the end of the day.
But I want to say something, because I too looked at all of the stuff that was on Facebook, and I made my comments as well. My position was very clear from way back when, from when I looked at the first agreement anyway. And I said last night that I'm exhausted with this conversation. I'm ready to move on to something completely different, which is the Wanganui issue and our healthcare, because that becomes important. But I want to make it clear that my position wasn't against jobs. It was not against having an agreement, because I agree that no company in their good and right mind, and if I were representing another company, I would tell them the same thing, would buy property that may be subject to a loss. It's not going to happen. So I understood that. It would make it difficult for a vendor to sell the property if there's a pending lawsuit. Okay? So I understood that part of it. My issue was there could have been a better agreement. Because in any negotiation, you should leave feeling that I think I give too much. And the other person should feel, I think I give too much. Both of us should feel when you leave it, and that's when you know you have a fair mediated agreement.
Yeah, you live.
No. I'm saying generally, that's what it should feel like. Both parties should feel that way. I do not believe that the Virgin Islands got the best possible deal out of this matter. And my position was, I think if you had done what you were supposed to do in properly negotiating the issue, I don't think you would have had an issue with it.
You know, but the problem is, isn't it, what the government did, the interim agreement, so-called interim, isn't that in itself illegal? Like, I hear one of the senators pointed that out last night.
Of course it was. It was legal because that is something that you have to go to the legislature to get.
But let's go to one of the senators pointing out last night. What does that do? If you're telling me there's separation of powers, couldn't they have initiated a last?
First of all, the idea of separation of powers is not existent in the Virgin Islands. At least for the last 8 years, it has 7 years, it has been.
Correct, and that's what I'm trying to point out.
That's not even an issue.
Again, that's political posturing from these elected leaders, and I'm tired because the funniest thing, some of us know that this particular deal and all the deals that this administration has put out have not been to the best interest of the Virgin Islands. However, you see leaders of industry. Look on Facebook. Go to bars and talk. People who run businesses, people who run major industries in the Virgin Islands, they're saying, "Oh, we need this. And so, what's so different? They're saying that we need it, and yes, to them, this is a very fair deal.
You know what? My problem was the way that we are giving so much credit and credence to Hovenza's closure as the basis and foundation for where we are. I want people to stop with that notion that because Hovenza closed, that's the reason why we are in this situation. It's not. Don't get me wrong. Did Hovenza's closure have a serious impact on us? Absolutely. And nobody can say they did not. But we already had healthcare issues, we already had GRS problems, we already had property tax issues, we already had education problems, crime problems, all those things when they were here.
But not to get,
you understand? When they were here. So their closure did not create those problems. Now, for the last 18 months, the real question is, you knew Hovenza says they weren't coming back. What other industry did you look for to gain an economic boom other than to sit on Hovenza? Because I can tell you right now, Hovenza, if it sells it to whomever, you cannot make that other company hire anybody.
No, but
they can't do anything. There's no guarantee that whoever this new company is, that they're going to come back and hire 2,500 more people to put us back into the place that we were before Hovenza leaves. And anybody who thinks so is living in La La Land.
But let's talk about this. Well, let's go back. Let's look. We're talking about diversification of our economy. Let's go back to 2006 when this administration was elected. 2007, they came into power. Have we seen any major infrastructure changes? Do we see any major changes to our tourism product? Everything has been the same. The only thing that we have done is change up the amount of revenues that we collect, i.e. from the rum deal. Because when we are taking in,
which incidentally is in some serious issues if those Eastern Caribbean islands file the lawsuit that they want to file in the World Court regarding these rum deals. And we have a risk of losing a whole bunch of money if the World Court rules in their favor.
Correct. So honestly, I think we were already going downhill before Hobbs.
Of course we
Because
were.
this administration put us in a very
But
bad
what
place.
we're being told is, if you did not pass this agreement, then you didn't want jobs and you want all these other things. Look at the people who were talking. Look at the people who were pushing for this agreement. Chamber of Commerce, all these other people pushing to get this agreement signed. Oh, we need to have jobs. We need to have jobs. Well, Chamber of Commerce, part of your role is to build the business community, whether Hovenza is here or not. And what have you done? Look, you ever been a Christian lately? Have you been a Christian lately during the day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does Christian feel like Frederick said all the time?
Yes.
Okay, because I can go there and park wherever I want to park in
No, but-
Christian. Before that
but-
would never happen.
but-
Every place, a lot of places in Christian shut down. Businesses are shutting down. They're not shutting down because Hovenza left. They're shutting down because they can't pay their WAPA bill.
But
That's why they're shutting
But
down.
we made a statement about Frederickson. Have you been, when you go to Frederickson at night time, anytime, any night in the neighborhood, isn't there a vibrant life?
There's a vibrant life on Queen Street. That's a vibrant life there.
No,
And I do not attend those areas.
No,
Listen,
So,
all I want to say is this, right? We all know the situation. We all know the problem with the issue. I'm looking for solutions.
I agree.
Interested in solutions. That's all I'm
but let me ask you this now. All these people running around, Chamber of Commerce, all these other individuals who are gone whole fighting to get this thing passed. What now? Now it's passed. What now?
Nothing.
And that's my point.
And
And that is my point.
My point is, what are we going to do? That's my point.
no, actually, I mean, stop that. It's not nothing.
You mean it's not-
Because,
But it's not nothing yet.
because
We'll see. But
some
I
of
don't
those
think it's gonna be-
some of those supporters are gonna make out like bandits. So because sometimes, you do receive certain rewards for pending your support to certain things. So they make out, but we as a community, nothing. We don't move forward. We stay in the same place. We're still waiting for the sale while they get all of these inducements.
And that's part of the problem. We sit down and we still wait. That's my point.
I said this on my Facebook page. G. Hamilton Jackson said, plant your pigeon peas, because that is what we're going to do around here, because we are going to get into a place. I don't want to cast gloom and doom, but I have been here long enough to know that all Hovenza wanted was an agreement signed, so their obligations to us can be removed. How can you, let me ask a question, how can you negotiate something and you haven't even done an assessment as to what your damages are? So you can know whether by accepting $50 million is a good thing or not a good thing. How can it, where you're on a pilot program, you're supposed to pay $14 million a year. I already agreed to make it 7, and now I'm agreeing for you not pay at all.
But Ini,
Not only
this
that,
is,
they property tax, they assess that place.
but that's what
They
we
know how
course
much-
they have an assessment.
They know how much it was.
But that's how we move. We move from a position of fear all the time. And
No,
a position of
we
disadvantage.
move from a position of fear because for the last 7 years, we've had an administration whose job was to invoke fear and be a fear monger and fear monger people into submission to agree to what they're doing. And when you have people who are local, people who should have more sense, sit down in there and say the things that they say, no way, it's not right. I have a problem with that. Why would the Attorney General sit down in there and says, well, I can't file a suit unless you tell me that I have the $5 million. It costs $350 to file a fee to the district court. You don't need $5 million to file a lawsuit. File the lawsuit. That gives you leverage when you're mediating, when you're in a negotiation with Hovenza. Look, I have my lawsuit and I can get these damages, and so let's figure out. We will resolve it. I will dismiss my case, and then clearly you won't have any obligations because of whatever the issue is. Litigate what?
Yeah, right?
One of the provisions is that their obligations under the third concession agreement terminates upon the sale, which means they have no more obligations. What breach are you talking about? You have pretty much forgiven them of their breach. That's exactly what this agreement has done. And so when I see people sit on there and they say these things, they talk about these things, I'm sitting to myself thinking, are you for real?
Different ways of $5 million.
And then Alicia Barnes went there to talk.
You come
Now,
into
don't
that
get me wrong,
also.
I like Alicia. I have no problem with her. I think she's a smart, intelligent lady, right? But what was her purpose there yesterday?
And you kept asking that to
I want
her.
to know. She is the Commissioner of the Department of Planning and Natural Resources. She said herself she was not a part of the negotiating team. Then why were you there? Thank you.
And our purpose
yeah.
is to still allow the people to believe that
When
this whole EPA thing is still ongoing regardless of what takes place there.
When okay,
any
you know what?
or any worries
We're going to
regarding
take a quick break. We're going to come back and finish this because I want to make sure we complete this information. But when we get back, we'll talk some more about the Convention Agreement, what happened, and we'll talk about some more of the stuff that's happened. Back in a moment. When we broke, we were talking about the Convention Agreement and certain things about it. And I think I was saying that, you know, it's just very distressing to me that we would have individuals that would come in, or somebody said Barnes, I was saying that, you know, I've known her for years. I think she's an intelligent, wonderful lady. But I understand her purpose there. And my issue, when I heard her say that leaving the refinery there dormant causing environmental problems, my thought process was, you're the Commissioner of the Department of Planning and Natural Resources. You can issue an order telling them to either clean it up or do something to keep it in a safe. Why don't you just do that? I did not get, and she did most of the talking for somebody who wasn't on the negotiating team at yesterday's hearing. I could not understand what was the purpose of her being there.
You may interrupt the question.
I didn't, in fact, they owned the floor. In other words, you come to the Senate, but the Senate ain't running the show on the floor. They ran the floor. They ran how the questions went. They didn't really answer any questions, and some senators didn't probably follow up with the questions and the answers that were given to them. But I wanted to, you know, one of our student audience members asked this question as to who the people who said yes were, and to the agreement. And those voting yes was Senator Judy Buckley, Senator Donald Cole, Senator Clifford Graham, Senator Alicia Hansen, Senator Sean Michael Malone, Senator Clarence Payne, Senator Rivera O'Reilly, and Senator Samuel Sanas. Now, Senators Graham, Hansen, Malone, Payne, and O'Reilly were the ones that all changed their votes from the first time over to the next to now to vote in favor of the agreement, and they all gave their reasons for it. You know, and we have to remember that whether we agree with them or not, we must respect their right to cast whatever vote they felt comfortable. I don't have to agree with it, but I respect that they have a right to vote how they want, and I have a right when November comes around to vote how I want, based on whether or not I feel that you're really leading me. But when I listened to the reasoning behind why they were changing their votes, part of me says, I don't know how people changing their minds. People are entitled to change their minds if the change in their mind is reasoned and informed. That agreement came before them was nothing different. Senator Hansen tried to, as attenuated as it was, she couldn't even pronounce the word legitimizing, but as attenuated as it was, tried to say the difference in the agreement is the fact that now you have the $5 million to come in. It was always our money. They could never keep it. So whether you pass an agreement or not, that $5 million that was in escrow was our money.
So again, just about
right.
another $5 million.
So $5 million. So that's why she now going to vote yes.
Many ways that they use it for everything.
Then you had Clifford Graham saying, a lot of people want to know, but I haven't decided how I'm going to vote. Then why are you at the session? You mean to tell me you've had this agreement how long now? How long? Okay, you come to the session and you still don't know how you went vote. I don't like the shenanigans. I'm not playing games. I prefer you to say, watch now. I voted yes for it. Sit down. In fact, I felt that session was entirely too long of nonsense, pure nonsense. They all knew what they were going to do. How Senator Rivera O'Reilly became the person to bring it back to the floor, I cannot for the life of me fathom. She claims she can sleep at night, and I hope she can. But I'm trying to figure out exactly what was the reason, what happened between then and now. Because I can tell you, I said to you right now, the explanations given by the governor's team as this agreement made no sense to me.
I say, Emil, that's why I tell you I stayed up. Because my mind was already, I didn't see anything different, whatever it was, when it was in the newspaper, when they were published in the paper, or what I saw on the internet. I didn't see anything different. And if I didn't see anything different in black and white, or whatever you want to call it, and a screen, why didn't our elected official? My word for tonight is posturing.
But let me ask you this. So now, there needs to be a new concession agreement, right? For whatever new refinery comes there. Now, did you all hear one of them say that the people won't buy the refinery unless there is a concession agreement? Did I hear that, or did I miss that? Or did I imagine that? You see, okay, here's the next problem I'm having. I own a commercial building, right? And the both of you lease space from my commercial building, right? And I decided I don't want to own it anymore. So I'm going to go and sell it to C, right? But your lease is a 5-year lease. You have 4 more years of your lease. When I sell that to this C person, you're aware that the new person has to take over your lease. In other words, they cannot kick you out, evict you, or anything, unless within the lease you've done something while they were the owners.
Some agreement between the buyer and the seller regarding those who are renting.
No.
So they have to honor. So
the buyer
existing,
has to honor the existing lease. Okay. Now let's put this in Provenza's perspective. Provenza has what? A concession agreement, right? Okay. That goes till when? 2022. Right? Okay. So when the new owners come, and this concession agreement with the federal government for this, however, this thing, who's supposed to then take over that? Take the new buyers? Okay. That's my point. So when this whole conversation about oh, we have to renegotiate a new concession agreement, whatever, the concession agreement they did ain't over. They're simply selling off what they own and what comes with it. Remember, a lease is a valuable consideration to something. Okay? So I want to know, when these new buyers come and they say, well, you are giving who we buy this from 2 cents on the barrel. You can't charge me 20 cents now. We bought into what they have. So unless the agreement says that, sorry, you can buy it, but this agreement here that we have with Provenza is of no more moment, and we have to renegotiate a whole new one with you. Unless that has occurred, then you have an outstanding agreement out there. Now somebody might tell me I'm wrong, and maybe I am. I don't know. All I know, because like I said, I don't know what agreements they've had with these alleged buyers that are already out there with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But I can tell you that I'm sure that they're not going to come to try and get any deal that is worse off than what Provenza had. I can tell you that much.
Hey, this is the next.
So that's why I'm saying, yes, I want jobs returned to the territory. But I wanted it to be returned to the territory in a way that protects the people of the territory. And that agreement does not protect the people of the territory.
They're not buying into this move ratification that we got last night.
True. If who buys into it? No, because the only thing that photogram says is, Provenza, you have a year to sell. Everything references Provenza, not the buyers, not the new buyers.
But they have a year to sell.
Yeah, they have until August.
They have a process.
Wow. Within that, but they have this. It has to be sold within a year, which is why I knew, in my mind at least, I'm really confident about it. Is that they already had people potentially wanting to come there, but that does not require. In other words, there was no requirement that you have a fundamental agreement to sell that refinery. I can tell you that much. Okay, there was no requirement of that. I understand why you would want to have it if you were Provenza, but there's nothing that said that in order for you to sell, you had to have the fundamental agreement. That I understand, and I hope everybody understands that. The problem is, you have these new people coming in, and if they're there, Provenza's going to sell it to them. Why? Because now they've got what they wanted. There's no obligation. We can't go sue them for a breach anymore. In other words, we've given up our breach. claim for $50 million. When possibly, if you had 10 more years on a contract, right? Let's just assume, let's for argument's sake use a small number, that within the 10 years, you were supposed to pay the pilot money. That's $14 million a year. That's $140 million alone, just for the property taxes. It doesn't include any of the other excise issues, none of the other payroll, not payroll taxes, but any other taxes that you would normally pay for input. None of that's included. Just that alone, $140 million. But you accept 50? No more than 50?
That's what we want.
That's what you negotiate with these people. And all I'm saying is that the problem I had was it was not a proper negotiation from a good pay level field. If you had done that, then I would say, okay, then it should be ratified. If I felt that there were certain things in there, it should be ratified. But it doesn't. It doesn't do that. You can use a training school, right? But they ain't nothing in the training school. So who can buy the equipment for the training school to train them in the training school? Can we have to do it now?
Only you have to buy it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So my point is, for years and years and years, you received a benefit. And if we believe the governor that he didn't know anything until the night before they announced that they won't come in, if we believe him, which I don't, but if we believe him, this good corporate citizen decided off the whim, guess what? I ain't opening in 2 more months, I shut this whole thing down. And now I'm going to lose all your jobs.
So and
then, but wait.
You say he knew from last year.
And how come nobody else say nobody he knew? And then, not only does Provenza lose those people, you turn around, governor, and you lay off people left, right, and center. But only Provenza is the only reason that we're in the issues that we are in. Mm-hmm. So my only question to us is, now that that's happened, I'm done with it. I'm ready to move on to something else. I want to know what are the solutions now for where we're going to go forward to get jobs that's not contingent on the refinery refining oil. That's what I want to know. And so when George Dudley said that confusion, that mess about they didn't have to refine, the argument was only for them to construct a refining facility. Does that make any sense? Does it make any sense to you? No, they didn't have to refine oil. I have to agree with you. But guess what? Whether you refining it or not, the concession agreement required you to have sufficient oil in the territory. It didn't say you have to refine it. It says you have to ensure that there's sufficient oil in the territory. For years on a concession agreement, my understanding is the government couldn't even get into their books to confirm that what they were making matches what they were supposed to be paying in to the government of the Virgin Islands. Do you understand?
But I was made to understand that Provenza itself, the refining, was a cost center for both PDVSA and
well, me know about all of that. I just understand, from my understanding, what I've heard individuals say.
That Provenza carried all the costs. That Provenza carried all the costs. Instead of being a distribution of cost, everything was right there. And Provenza versus Hovik and PDVSA, or Hess and PDVSA.
Like I said, I want to know what the solution is going to be. What are we going to do at this point to diversify our employment economy and for us to be able to proceed forward so we don't have a situation where we're dependent on one industry? What's going to be the solution? For all the proponents out there, I want to know, and if you're my Facebook friend, send me a message on Facebook. Tell me, what is the plan now that you've gotten the agreement ratified? What is now the plan to move forward to build our economy?
Shouldn't that be like one of the things that we look for from the candidates who are coming to us?
Yeah, but I want to know. But I also want to know from the enablers what they're going to do.
But honestly,
I want to also know from all the people who are in the administration that were there talking about how great the agreement is going to be. What are they going to do?
Actually, I don't think the enablers have anything to offer. The only thing they have to offer, because I saw a couple of them, is, oh, whoop-de-doo, my grandchild have a future. Oh, let's move on now. Yes, the deal is signed, but I've not seen anything tangible attached to it. The only thing I've seen is, okay, yes, the deal is signed, but I'm not seeing that they're talking about, okay, this is what's going to happen. And I've seen those postings all throughout Facebook. The only thing, I'm going to tell you, when I responded, when I made my position clear in August, there was a lot of people who didn't like the position I took. And they asked me clear, what do I see going forward? And I mean, I said clearly, if we commit to rehabilitating and a spirit of renaissance within our city, in our historic towns, we can really start to nurture businesses. Because if you look at it, we may say there's a rift between sentiments and St. Croix, but look at our 3 historic towns: Charlotte Amalie, Christiansted, and Fredericksted. They're all in disrepair. They're falling apart. Main Street closes down at 5 o'clock. And both of them, all 3 of them are 1 street deep in terms of what they have to offer to the public. Where are the restaurants? Where are the other businesses that need to be in those cities to keep them going beyond the 5 o'clock?
They can't pay their energy bill.
And you're right. And we need to talk about...
That's why they're shutting down. And that's why it irritated me yesterday when I heard Senator Rivera, right? He says, oh, she washed through the towns and they're shutting down. They're not shutting down because Hovenza is gone. They're shutting down because they cannot pay their electric bill. The other day I went to Bernie's restaurant. I wasn't sure she was open because the door was open and it's dark. Why? Because she can't turn her lights on. Not because she doesn't have lights, but because she really can't have her electric bill so high that she can't stay open. That's not because of Hovenza, because people are still going to her restaurant. The issue is they can't pay the electrical bills. That's why. When I heard Lisa Barnes talk about, when she dressed you, Mommy Jew, all these boys on the street, then what have you all done to ensure that these boys are walking somewhere?
Give them the flag.
When you drive up and down the street and everybody putting in phones and all that stuff and none of them from the Virgin Islands, where did you call up and say, oh, listen, watch now? Why don't we have one of our young men who are loafing on the streets working and doing something? Why don't we have them working on agricultural grounds to build and do something to build some infrastructure? Why don't we have a program? Why don't we bring back, what was that program that they did years and years ago where they would train them in agriculture? Is that what it was?
I think they had some like that.
Yeah, but the government had a program where
CETA,
right? Why don't you bring those things back? That's what I'm talking about. Don't scare me to say all these boys on the street, because guess what? Today they was on the same street in Mamiju or wherever they were on. I'm sure she passed them today. I'm sure she passed them tomorrow. I'm sure she passed them on Friday.
But remember, the only time those young boys on the streets are important is when we have to make those arguments in front of the cameras. But beyond that, they're never important.
No.
And they become important again at election time. And then again we go another cycle, and because one thing we missed and we never discussed in our hot topic, remember there was a rash of violence throughout the summer?
Yes.
And we saw that where young men were being buried because they were
alarming rates.
Yeah, and so we are not focusing on
but not only are they being buried, they are making a permanent place at the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands being charged with crimes.
But see,
do you understand?
But see, I have a problem with that. And I'm gonna say this. If you look at the legal system, whether it's the AG office, whether it's locally or the US Attorney office, they throw the book after those children just out of high school, 18, 21. You see them charged with 36, 39 counts. And those career criminals who happen to sit behind the desk and wear a tie, they get one charge.
No, they can't get charged yet.
Yeah, but come on. So there's some level of bias in our community, and we are not fixing the problem. We telling those idiots it's all right. Look at that guy, Tapia. He's allowed to go and work for his mommy while he's await sentencing.
You're right.
After he did all he did and the government's dying, selling, come on. Where is the fairness in that?
Where's Alvin Williams?
No.
Yeah. Where he there?
No. What do you know what the perplexing part about?
He got sentenced.
No. He got sentenced. But they wanted to seal it. No, they wanted to seal his case.
Yeah, he's on bail. Right. Until his sentence. But then they moved
to seal the records. His allocution in open court.
Yeah, but it ain't happened yet.
They allocated already.
He did?
Yes.
No, he didn't. No, he did the plea.
No. He allocated.
So they had a sentencing?
Yes. They didn't sentence, but he allocated open court, and they wanted to seal that.
Oh, okay. You know what? We're gonna follow up on that because I need to. I didn't realize that that's what happened. So why wasn't the sentence? Why did the sentence go forward that day?
I don't know. I actually want to know what Alvin is.
Interesting. Well, listen.
Then post one question.
I know. Listen. Hovenza has come and gone. and we are done with them, and they are done with us. And so here we are going to try and figure out how we can work ourselves into a much more positive venture to deal with this community, and we'll see what's going to happen, and hopefully we'll be able to survive here for those of us who are going to remain here in the territory, and see where that goes. Okay, but we'll be back in a moment. Back in a moment. Welcome back to ViVoices. This was our first show back for the second season, and just like old times, we fell right back into place, and I just really enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully everybody has gotten some insight. And we have a very, very exciting season for you. We're going to have a lot of things to talk about. Some we didn't get to tonight, primarily the Wallaby issue and the decriminalization of marijuana issue coming up, and we're going to have a lot of other guests coming on to the show that's going to hopefully educate you on a lot of issues. But before we go, I wanted to make one mention. I know you thought about it, the issue regarding the reparations and the apology from one of the estate owners in Denmark. What are your thoughts on that? Are we doing enough to be educated on the issue regarding reparations and how to receive this apology?
I think there's groups of individuals who are not together, and I think we need to be, those separate organizations need to be moved together so we will come as a unit to confront the issue and to force it upon the legislation, because I don't think that they're doing enough for reparations, for the reparations. We have the whole Eastern Caribbean that's looking into it now, where we were taking the lead from back in Shelly Moore, back in 2004.
Right.
And he took the lead from then, and he made contact with them and in regards to reparations. And I don't think from then till now we were doing it. As a matter of fact, I think there was a bill passed for him to get some funds. He never received the money for that. I think it was $30,000 at the time. He to get some funds to pursue reparations kind of issue. And we never hear anything about that again. But I think though that the organizations that are working independently each other need to come together as a unit and as a body and go towards the legislature so we can get some kind of so we can get them involved at least, so the government will go towards it.
Well, I definitely want to have some more education on the issue regarding reparations. I know what it means, I know what it is, but to really in depth of it, and I'm sure we're probably going to get Shirley to come on the show, so we definitely talk about the issue regarding reparations. And before we go, I want to make sure that from ViVoices we say special prayers out to the talk show guru, Mr. Mario Moorhead. As you know, he was ill a couple of weeks ago and had to have surgery and is doing pretty well. And from ViVoices, we want to make sure that we say to Godspeed to you, Mario, and that you're able to get back to the airwaves as soon as you can, so that the education process can continue.
Definitely miss you today regarding this whole event.
Oh yes, oh yes. And we also want to make sure everybody knows that the Rock Your Voice campaign has begun. The Rock Your Voice 2014 campaign has begun. RTD and ViVoices will be out in full force to ensure that people understand the importance of registering to vote and the importance of voting and understanding the issues. So we'll be talking a lot about Rock Your Voice. We'll be having a lot of Rock Your Voice events. We will be having a lot of individuals to come on the show who want to seek public office so you can get an understanding of who they are, what they're doing. And we'll be discussing these issues. And we want you to be informed of those issues. So be on the lookout for the Rock Your Voice campaign. Before we go, and I hesitate to talk about this because we need a whole hour for that, but there's about 11 or 14 people running for governor in 2014. And we're going to talk about that on our next show. We're going to dissect who we understand will be running and why we think that they're running, and hopefully get them to come on the show to give at least a little explanation of what it is that they're doing so we're prepared for them. This year, we are not holding back on ViVoices. We are going into everybody. And so don't be afraid to come to the show. Anybody who wants to talk about those issues, we're welcoming you, whether you feel that we like you or not, whether you feel that we're too hard on you or not, we want you on the show because we believe in having all parts of the spectrum on an issue.
But I'm going to say this. If you ran last year and you didn't come to our show, but you're now elected and you choose to now want to come to our show, please, we won't be invited. I'm going to tell you straight up.
I would want to talk to them.
No, man.
Why not?
No, because, no,
Well, you could sit down and be quiet.
If you didn't,
But I think
have cojones to come
I agree.
when
But
you wasn't.
I think they need to be on the show because I need to know one, why you ain't come the last time, and two, what it is you did this time.
Right.
But you can be quiet if you want to, but I think you should be on the show.
I think you really should come to it.
I agree.
Yeah, we know me to
But I
be
want to
quiet.
say one thing
That's my point.
I want to say one thing before we close out this segment, and I know we want to revisit it, but I think we're in regards to this issue. And the one thing that stood out, well, at least to me anyway, the one thing that stood out the most, or the most significant, was what came out of Senator Mellon's mouth, using her research, and she went to different countries and how they prepare, how they deal with their country. And the one thing she said was something regarding the children. She said, if you want to deal with the future, deal with the children.
I agree.
That stood out the most out of everything else I went down there, I'm not sure. And I think that's what our focus should be on, that's what our address should be, on the future generation. Because they're falling away, ripe fruit from the tree, and rotting in the ground, even before they get it.
Well, let's see what happens. Just remember, rock your voice. Remember, your voice can make a difference. Good night, everybody.
Amen.
Amen.